Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode of my YouTube channel. Me and Cody have reunited to talk about another Fleming Award winning film. Hello, Cody.
Hello, Robbie. Thanks for having me back on the show.
Lovely, lovely. And I let you pick the movie this time. So, what movie are we talking about?
Well, yeah, you let me pick the movie of all the past Fleming Award winners for Best Picture that you haven't covered on your little podcast that you're doing. And because I'm currently reading Heat 2, and unfortunately, Heat or no Michael Mann movie has won Best Picture for your awards, I thought, why not talk about a movie that is heavily inspired by Heat, and that is Christopher Nolan's sequel to Batman Begins, The Dark Knight.
Good choice, good choice. He has won Fleming Awards, but it didn't win Best Film that year. But The Dark Knight won in 2008, and as you know, it's my second favorite movie of all time, my favorite Christopher Nolan movie, my favorite superhero movie, my favorite DC movie, my favorite Batman movie. It holds a lot of titles close to my heart.
Obviously, it has a lot of titles for you. I mean, it's an amazing film. It is one of the rare films that I was super hyped to go see because I loved Batman Begins when it came out. I just absolutely was just shocked how well done that movie was, what Christopher Nolan did with the Batman universe. And that was a movie, and it still continues to be a movie that gets better every time I watch it. And I saw that film twice in the cinemas. So I was stoked for this sequel, especially with the tease of the Joker. And after we got that little bit of a trailer, because I didn't get to see the IMAX screening of the opening scene with the bank robbery, I was just ready. And this movie not only lived up, but surpassed the hype that I had for this film.
Definitely, definitely. With me, this movie drew on me the more I watched it. And because this is my best friend's favorite movie, it also helps add to the reason why it's one of mine as well.
Absolutely. I mean, that helps tremendously. But I mean, it is all those things you said. It's not my personal favorite of any of those things you said, but it's definitely one of the greats. But I think the great thing about this movie is it just happens to be a superhero movie. This really
Yeah,
is like a crime drama, and
it is.
that's the reason I bring up Heat as such a huge influence, because this movie is about cops and robbers and criminals. And this movie, Gotham City, is a character. Like a lot of great crime dramas, the city is a character itself.
Yes, yes, yes. We'll talk about production design in a bit, but it won Best Sound, is one of
Yet,
the winners.
which it absolutely has a lot of great sound in it. It has a lot of like really jarring transitions, which of course people would criticize Nolan in the future for a lot of his movies about the wonkiness of his sound. But I think this is one of the better spots here where his sound is really on, especially like all the jarring stuff with the Joker, where it
Yeah,
kind of starts really soft and then there's like a sharp edge of like when the Joker attacks or does something to somebody.
yeah. And also, like you hear the sound of like the bombs and the guns and stuff. I'm assuming the sounds put in the editing stuff.
Absolutely. And also I just love Hans Zimmer's score with the Joker, just like
Yeah.
that impending doom that's about to happen
Yes.
whenever he shows up.
It also won best score. What's your opinion on James Newton Howard?
Right, because he helped Zimmer with this one and Begins, right? They are
Yeah.
combined. I like James Newton Howard as a composer. I don't think he's quite on the same status as Hans Zimmer, but
Oh,
I think he's a very good composer, and I like both of the first two films' scores. They're not my favorite Batman scores, but they work for the movie.
Yeah. Because with James Newton Howard, I can't seem to remember many of his scores. So I can remember Hans Zimmer like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a fair critique. If you without looking up, I probably couldn't tell you what films James Newton Howard has scored because
Yeah.
I don't know it off the top of my hand, but I could probably at least name you 5 to 10 films Hans Zimmer has scored. Luckily, a lot of those are Nolan films, so
And Dune and The Lion King.
yeah, you could just name.
Gladiator.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's worked with Ridley Scott and Denis Villeneuve quite a bit. So
Is it just the one time he's worked for Disney?
specifically Disney, I don't know off the top of my hand, but I mean the Lion King score is pretty memorable.
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. And yeah, like you said, the production design really makes Gotham a character. And apparently Nolan based his version of Gotham off the Blade Runner city.
Yeah, for sure. More so with Batman Begins aesthetics.
Yeah.
Even though this film was also shot in Chicago, like Batman Begins. Like he says, Blade Runner was a big influence on the look of Batman Begins. Of course, he references Michael Mann's Heat for this one, especially with that opening scene with the bank robbery scene, and even having William Fichtner show up as the bank manager, kind of playing a similar character he plays in Heat. It's
Yeah.
kind of more of homaging. And then the third film is very much a mixture of David Lean, of because the epicness and scope and kind of a Dickens-esque story
Yeah.
with his influence.
Nice. I also one thing I do love is how they show Hong Kong in the film. Like when you
Oh
see the
yeah,
Hong Kong skyline, I love that scene.
yeah, that is a very interesting scene. I think that's one of the more scenes people kind of criticize, not because of its look, just kind of I guess the plot dynamics, that it's just convenient that Batman, that character is just basically a MacGuffin to get the plot going.
Yeah, but there's been MacGuffin characters. Stand by me. They're searching for a MacGuffin who's a dead person.
Right. I mean, it doesn't bother me. It makes sense. This guy is key to the case that Harvey Dent, Jim Gordon and Batman, to try and take down all the mafia heads in Gotham City. And this guy's like laundering all their money for him. He leaves the city, so they've got to use Batman because he has no jurisdiction or rules.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's what brings me on to the next award, Best Stunt Team.
Oh yeah, this is some of the best action Nolan's ever shot. Maybe Inception might be slightly better because I know that was a big
Yeah.
criticism in Batman Begins when it came out. Was like people are like, you can't see any of the fights, you can't see anything, which I think was part of what was the how he wanted to approach Batman as a character. Was like
Yeah.
that's how good he is at like being, I guess, a ninja or like stealth, that like no one even knows like what hit him. Whereas the action's a little more forefront here.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of my favorite action bits are often in vehicles.
I mean, that car chase, that whole chase sequence where the Joker's trying to get Harvey Dent is incredible. And then of course
Yeah.
that epic showdown between Batman and the Joker on the motorcycle.
Yes,
Is
that's one of the best scenes of all time, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just great.
Yeah.
And I
There's some
mean
good.
that's another homage to Heat in a lot of ways, is that interrogation scene between Batman and the Joker where Batman's trying to get the Joker to talk, and of course his tactics aren't working on the Joker because Joker is a different type of criminal and Joker's just relaying his philosophy. That's an homage to the diner scene in a lot of ways between Pacino and De Niro and Heat.
I love that scene in Heat.
Yeah, what's incredible is there's this I forget the name of the show, but David Fincher was a producer, and it's just talking about, I think it's called Voyeur,
Oh
something
yeah,
like that. Yeah, and they talk about different scenes, and I forget the specific episode, but they show a side by side of the scene in Heat and the scene originally from the TV movie when Michael Mann tried to make it a TV show first, and just how more interesting the scene is with Al Pacino and Robert De Niro just because of their level of actors they are
yeah, definitely.
compared to whoever those, and nothing against those TV actors, but it's just like wow,
No,
yeah, it's like day and
definitely,
night.
definitely. One of my favorite aspects of this film is one of the awards, and it's best visual and special effects.
Yeah, so what do you like about the visual effects? Because they're pretty subtle. Because Nolan is a very practical
Yeah,
person, and
that's what I like about it. It's more practical.
yeah, so it's stunt work. It's actual actors and stunt team working on this stuff because Nolan uses as little CGI as he needs. He shoots on film,
Yeah, yeah,
and
but I don't really think visual and special effects just mean CGI. I think it does cover practical as well.
oh, it does. It definitely is. Anything used to create an effect that is not normally seen by just natural acting and filming, something they had to create to give us an illusion is a special effect.
Yes, because there's a Mad Max Fury Road has some of the best visual effects.
Absolutely. I mean, there is some CGI in there, but like all that stunt work with the vehicles, that's actual stunt teams.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Yeah, it didn't win best makeup and hair or costume design. Those two
Interesting.
they went to Hellboy.
Hellboy 2. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that makes sense. I mean, that troll market scene alone, and that's practically all practical effects and puppetry too. Like
yes, yes, and
Guillermo del Toro is another guy who only uses CGI minimally as he can.
yes, because with the Dark Knight and Hellboy 2, they both feel like similar films. They're both sequels made by auteurs.
Both are probably considered superior sequels to the original too.
Yeah, with more creative control as well.
Absolutely. It's just terrible that Universal did Del Toro wrong by releasing Hellboy. They pushed the release date up and it came out a week before The Dark Knight and just kind of hurt its box office.
That's a shame because them two would have made a good double feature.
They would have, and originally Hellboy 2 was supposed to be like a late summer release in August, which would have been perfect. But instead, they released it a week early and, did fairly.
Why couldn't they have made Hellboy Night a thing here?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't try to play with, like, of course, now with the whole Barbie Hammer stuff. They should have done that, right? Dark Knight,
Yeah,
Hellboy 2. Because, I mean, there's a lot of cross between of people that went to see both movies.
yeah. I know people that love both movies too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a shame, and that's why we never got a third film from Del Toro and Ron Perlman.
Well, if he's sticking with animation, maybe he could make Hellboy 3 animated.
Maybe he could, but I think his next movie is live action again.
I think it's said to be his last live action. He wants to do animation full time now.
Well, I think that's how he's going to get his passion project made as an animated film.
Yeah, I can see. What do you think to the editing of this movie?
Oh, the editing's fantastic. Just the cuts and everything in here is just really top notch.
Yeah. As you know, my favorite scene is when he's pressing the bomb.
Oh yeah. I mean that is just some great improvising too from Heath Ledger, rest in peace, with him
Yeah.
like reacting because the bomb didn't go off when he planned it to. When he hit the button, it was like a delay. I mean, it's just a shame he didn't live to see the success of this movie and this
No,
performance because I think we would have gotten a lot of great performances out of him from this movie.
we would have done. We would have done. Like sometimes I like to think if Heath Ledger was still alive, I wonder if he'd be good as that character.
Yeah, it's the terrible shame, and also, he probably would have had an appearance in The Dark Knight Rises somewhere as well.
Yes, yes. If you watch Channel Awesome and watch their fan fiction, they do a really good audio drama of what if the Joker was in The Dark Knight Rises, which I highly recommend.
Yeah, and I mean that was the whole thing, right? Because this is supposed to be Batman's arch nemesis. They're like the great,
Yeah,
thorns in each other's side. There's the whole speeches, you complete me, you've changed things. I don't want to kill you. I think we're destined to do this forever. And that's the biggest complaint a lot of people had in Tim Burton's Batman movie is that they killed the Joker off. Of course, I don't think at the time they were thinking of sequels or anything like that, and I don't even know if Jack Nicholson would have came back to play the Joker again. So I understand why they went the way they went, but yeah, come on, you can't kill the Joker off. And Heath Ledger like gave a whole completely different take on the character and made it his own.
yes, definitely, definitely. So as well as the Oscar and the BAFTA and the Golden Globes and the other acting awards he won, he also won the Fleming for Best Supporting Actor. I mean, this is one of the greatest performances of all time.
Oh, absolutely. And if it's not one, it's up there, I would say, is top 5 villains in movie history, right?
Yeah,
It's got to be up there with like Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal Lecter and
yeah,
Darth Vader, right?
yes,
And then, I mean, talking about best supporting actor, though, I think this movie, there are two really great underrated performances that don't get enough credit because of just how powerhouse Heath Ledger is in this movie. And that's Aaron Eckhart as Harvey Dent and Two-Face and Gary Oldman as Jim Gordon.
I had a feeling you would say those two.
I think they both give really great performances, and I think which really makes this movie a great ensemble and a great crime drama because there's so many different characters, you know, underlying what's going on in this movie. And I don't think either one, I mean, Gary Oldman gets a lot of praise from various roles because he's a chameleon as an actor. But I don't think
Yeah,
Aaron Eckhart gets enough credit for how really good he is in this movie and like the turn and everything
yeah,
when he becomes Two-Face.
definitely, definitely. Because this also won Best Cast as well, and I do love the supporting cast of this movie because Michael Caine, Gary Oldman, and Morgan Freeman are just solid. And obviously, I do love the supporting actors as well, even the minor actors like Eric Roberts, Michael Jai White, the lad that played Coleman Reese, the lad from the Breakfast Club, the guy that played the mayor, William Fitcher. Tiny Lister is in this movie if you're a wrestling fan, and
Oh yeah.
a future superhero film star, David Duchovny. David Duchovny.
Yeah, who's incredible as just which is another great thing they do with the Joker is like,
Oh,
the
and
Joker.
Cillian Murphy has a cameo as Scarecrow, which I really, really enjoy.
I mean, he's just the MVP of this whole trilogy, right?
Yeah,
Because
and
because I
there's the senator who loves Batman and appears in every movie.
hmm I think he's the guy the Joker messes with at the Harvey Dent party, the
Yeah,
older guy.
yeah, I think
But
that is him.
I remember when Batman Begins the first time I watched it, kind of being disappointed what they did with the Scarecrow at the end because the Scarecrow is like my favorite villain. But
Yeah,
I love that he just keeps popping up in each movie somewhere. That was just fun.
definitely.
And talking about Tony Lister, I mean, the guy gets one of the most powerful scenes in the movie, right? Because you think because of his size and because of his demeanor and the other kind of roles he's played in movies, you think
Yeah,
it's going to go a whole different way than what it does.
definitely.
It's a really powerful scene. And yeah, I love that Nolan as a director will pop in these actors who were kind of sort of famous, like, and have kind of disappeared, like Eric Roberts showing up as Maroni. And yeah, you can't complain about Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman. Those guys are just incredibly gifted actors.
Yeah, yeah.
They're pros. They're gonna give it their best, no matter how big or small the role
I
is.
I just have this really small question to ask. So,
Okay.
what happened with Katie Holmes? Why does she all of a suddenly been replaced by Maggie Gyllenhaal?
I'm not 100% sure what the reasoning was. I can't remember if she was actually tied up and filming something else and couldn't do it, or there was this whole thing because I think she was still involved with Tom Cruise at the time of when they were making this movie, and I don't know if that was an issue either. And of course, a lot of people complained about Katie Holmes in the movie,
I
saying
thought
she
she was good.
didn't give that great of a performance, which she's fine. I mean, Nolan as a director is that's not one of his stronger suits though, is great female characters.
No, no.
Though I think Maggie Gyllenhaal does a great job in this movie
I
for
don't
what.
know. You say that, but Elliot Page's character in Inception is probably my favorite female character in a Nolan film.
Well, I didn't say she's my favorite. I just said she did a good job. But yeah, I would agree that Elliot Page does a tremendous job in Inception.
Yeah, yeah. What do you think to Bale as Batman? Because I know some people that love him as much as I do, but I know the odd person that thinks he's the worst Batman.
Oh, he's absolutely not the worst Batman. That's ridiculous. We can sit here and gripe about his Batman voice getting
No, I love his voice. I love his voice.
more incomprehensible with each Batman movie that comes along, but he's probably the most physically intimidating Batman we still have had on
Yes.
in live action. And I also think he's the best Bruce Wayne so far.
Oh,
I love
definitely.
I love the differences. I mean, it's more highlighted in Batman Begins, but I think he's a very good Batman. I think he's definitely up there. Is he my personal favorite? No, but he's probably tied for my second favorite Batman.
The reason why he's my favorite Batman is because Christian Bale's that good of an actor. He plays Bruce Wayne and Batman as two different characters.
He absolutely does. And I think he gets a bit overshadowed in this movie by the supporting cast,
Yeah,
but that's fine. He still does a solid job. He's a great actor, and he's really good. And I like kind of like what the Joker drives Batman to do to have to stop him, and what Batman's willing to do to keep this to keep everyone in the moral righteous place at the end of the movie.
definitely. definitely. So, do you want to talk about the screenplay next?
Screenplay, which is written by David Goyer and Christopher Nolan's brother Jonathan Nolan, correct?
And Christopher.
Yeah, so all three of these guys. I
Yeah.
think Jonathan.
Well, John and Christopher did the screenplay. David and Christopher did the story.
Right, that's what I was fixing to say. I think David did the story, and then Chris brought in his brother to do the screenplay. So I guess David came up with the general census of what the movie was going to be about, and then had Jonathan come in and flesh it out
Yeah,
as a
it's just
screenplay.
funny that his brother's called Jonathan and his uncle's called John.
Right, who is not in this one, but is in Batman Begins and The Dark Knight Rises.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think out of all the Batman movies, it has the best writing.
absolutely. This is the tightest of the three screenplays.
Yeah.
There's not as many issues you can point out. One of the only things I can kind of point out is like when the Joker throws Rachel out of the window at Harvey Dent's party. Where did the Joker go? Did he just leave, when Batman goes to save Rachel? Like
Yeah.
he's like, all right, I'm gone. Batman just left the Joker in there with a bunch of people.
Do you feel like the Harvey Dent subplot is good because when Josh Hickey ranked the DC films of Flash, he pointed out that the Harvey Dent subplot felt a bit forced.
I don't think it felt forced. I just wished Two-Face as a character could have gotten his own movie. You know, I understand why they did what they did because I don't think at the time, and I don't know how much of this was completely done I guess it was already done when Heath Ledger died, because I remember thinking Two-Face was going to be the villain in the next film, but maybe they felt like this just felt like a completed story to have the whole Harvey Dent arc in the whole movie, his rise and fall, and do a different story, or maybe they just didn't think they were going to do a third one, because I know after Ledger's death, Nolan kind of wasn't 100% into doing another one. So I don't know. I don't mind it. I think it works for the movie, and I like it. I think Aaron Eckhart does a great job.
Is Christopher Nolan a fan of the comics?
I think Christopher Nolan is a fan of the Batman character. I don't think he's necessarily a comic book or superhero aficionado.
No,
and I think
he's more of a film buff by the sounds of it.
And I think that's the reason David Goyer was brought in on Batman Begins, was because of his knowledge of the comic books, because David Goyer is very much a comic book fan.
Yeah. I think I did see Nolan did have to watch Tim Burton's one to get influence.
Oh, interesting. There's not a lot of parallels because it's two completely different.
Because when they announced that they were doing a sequel to Batman Begins, I thought, I wonder if this will be similar to the Batman 1989 movie, because they're introducing the Joker and they're setting up Two-Face.
Right. Not really, because they're two different styles, right? Burton is very much, other than the film noir aspects they both have, because that's just the character of Batman. That's really the only similarities, because Burton's approach is very much gothic, operatic, heavily influenced from German Expressionism. Yes. Whereas Nolan is going in a very realistic manner of, okay, what would this look like if a person did this for real? How would it come across? Like the Batman costume's not even like very comic booky. It's very practical costume. Yeah. The Batmobile is a tactical weapon. instead of just looking like a cool car. Um, and even Joker's approach, like Nolan has said, like his take on the Joker was just like terrorism. This is the war. This is his take on the war on terror. Like the chaos of the Joker is like us fighting terrorism. Like there's no explanation for it. There's no reason behind it. As Michael Caine says in the movie, some men just want to watch the world burn.
Yes, yes, because I've heard this fan theory that the Joker is one of Ra's al Ghul's agents, and I think that would just be a bit too far-fetched because I kind of want this film to be separate from that League of Shadows storyline, and if anything, I think that was only brought in the third one because of Heath Ledger died.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm not sure who would have been the villains had Heath Ledger lived. I guess Catwoman would have been in the movie because they make the Catwoman joke in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
So, but I'm not sure. A lot of people thought it was going to be either the Riddler or Hugo Strange, which would have been an interesting take, but I guess they wanted to go with a more physical villain.
Yeah.
Which makes sense with why they went with Bane.
Yeah.
But also, I love that the two influences for Heath Ledger on his take on the Joker was Malcolm McDowell for A Clockwork Orange and Sid Vicious.
Yeah. I also think a bit of Dennis Hopper from Blue Velvet's in there too.
Yeah, and talking about fan theories, I heard a fan theory that the Joker is ex-military.
Yes, I've heard that.
Like he's ex-special forces. And there is a scene we get to see him with, and I like that approach of the Joker that he just wears the makeup for show and intimidation. Because you see the scene when they shoot Gordon at the commissioner's funeral, you see Heath Ledger without his makeup on.
Yeah. Yeah, you do see that. It's interesting to see him without his makeup in that scene.
Yeah, and of course, the whole every time he talks to someone different, there's a different story behind the scars, right?
Yes.
Which one's
do you
true?
believe?
I think they're all made up.
So do I.
I don't think anyone he tells is true. I bet you more than anything they are either self-inflicted or there's some different backstory to them.
Yeah. Although the first one does sound a bit the most realistic.
Oh, about the abusive father?
Yeah. The best thing about the Joker as a character is even though he's a kidnapper, a crime boss, a murderer, a torturer, this one doesn't sexually assault people.
He doesn't sexually assault people, and he's actually really funny in various scenes, not only with the hospital. Well, the hospital scene, he dresses up as a nurse wearing a mask, and then like the whole pencil trick thing is actually funny.
Yes,
it's gone.
One of my favorite scenes.
He has jokes. It wasn't cheap. You ought to know. You bought it, and I
also love Gary Oldman in the Leon the Professional, and his character, and that reminds me of Heath Ledger's Joker.
Yeah, a little bit, huh? And of course, Gary Oldman played Sid Vicious in a movie, Sid and Nancy.
Yes, I wonder if Heath Ledger had a little chat with Gary. Said, "Look, Gary, how do you play psychopath? So I'm playing one in this movie."
I mean, Gary Oldman's got a lot of experience. He's played a lot of great villains in his time.
Yeah, it's nice that in the two biggest franchises he's in, he's one of the heroes.
But I mean, he purposely is cast in Harry Potter for that whole MacGuffin of is he good or bad? Because if you hadn't read the books, you don't know till the end of the movie that Sirius Black is not a bad guy.
Yeah,
So it makes sense they cast Gary Oldman in that role just because of his reputation as of his on-screen characters.
yeah,
Because I remember when I heard he was cast as Gordon, I thought that was strange. But then when I saw it, I was like, well, he looks just like the character in the comics. Like, they made him look just like him.
definitely, definitely. I think Gary Oldman's my favourite Jim Gordon.
I really like Jeffrey Wright in the role. I think
He'd be my second.
he was great. And I liked in the new one that Gordon is really a part of the investigations more.
Yeah,
Like as an actual contributing partner. I mean, it's a lot of it is in the Nolan films too, but it is really Batman and Gordon in the new one. Like they're a team.
they are a good team. They are a good team. But what I like about this movie is that Nolan's directing with his best team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this
With
is still
Wally Pfister, Hans Zimmer, and Lee Smith, his OG team.
Yep, his OG team since is Wally shot from Memento to what? Dark Knight Rises?
Yeah.
Yeah. And when did Zimmer come on for Begins?
Begins, but he didn't score the Prestige, and that's one of the reasons why I feel like the Prestige should have improved on. He should have got Zimmer to do the score.
Well, I think the Prestige was in the pipeline even while he was making Batman Begins, so probably hadn't built up that relationship yet.
Yeah,
Or Zimmer might have been too busy working on something else.
probably.
Because he's a pretty...
And Lee Smith normally works for other directors now.
Who's that?
Lee Smith, the editor.
Oh, yeah.
Because he went on to edit 1917. He's been part of Sam Mendes' team.
Yeah. Sticking with those Brit guys, huh?
Yeah. But I think does he won Best Director? Chris, this is Christopher Nolan at his best.
At his absolute best, I think he would. I think his next film is probably his absolute best at directing because this is the movie that ultimately gives Nolan the blank check forever, right? This movie's success gives him Inception, and then Inception being a huge hit as well has just continued. And really, he hasn't had a check that bounced because we can't count Tenet as a bounce check because that came out during a pandemic. So, and it still made a decent amount of money, just not what normally a Nolan movie would make. So,
yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, because he's Christopher Nolan and they know how good he is at films, he probably doesn't even need to pitch an idea to the executives. He just needs to say a sentence about what the movie's about, and they ask him how much does he need.
well, there's a joke on Blank Check that when he pitched Dunkirk, he probably just came in all dressed nice with his suit and a briefcase, opened his briefcase up, had a couple of toy airplanes, and started making airplane and gun noises, flying the airplane around, and they were like, "Here's millions of dollars. Go make the movie." I doubt that's what really happened, but I wouldn't be surprised. And I think when he went to Universal for Oppenheimer, I think they were just like, whatever you want to make, we'll let you make it.
Yeah, literally. I think it went like this. Hi guys, I'm Warner Brothers, and I want to make this film about the atom bomb. Sure, how much do you need? 1 million?
Yep. Yep, I think that's how it went down. They're like, how much you need, Chris? We'll give it to you.
Yeah. And do you think this is the best film of 2008?
Oh, I knew this was going to come up because this is such a big debate, right? Because
Yeah.
this movie broke the Academy Awards, right? Everyone was
Yep.
like, how did they not nominate this movie? This is the biggest movie of the year. It almost defeated Titanic's record. It's critically acclaimed. You know, there's a bit of a film bro backlash with this a little bit now, but
Yep.
it at least should have been nominated, right? Is it
Yes.
the? It probably is the best movie of 2008. Wally, I think, is the only other movie for me that comes close, which also was not
No,
nominated.
that's fair enough. That won my best animated film award that year. Although I prefer Kung Fu Panda more, Wally is better animated.
Absolutely. I can see Kung Fu Panda might be more entertaining for you, but Wally is just a mastercraft of filmmaking and animation.
Definitely. Definitely. So, yeah, I didn't. Yeah, I'm not a biggest fan of Slumdog Millionaire. It's nothing against Indian culture. It's nothing against Danny Boyle. It's nothing against Dev Patel and the other actors. I just find the film a bit of a drag, but the third act, it all of a sudden picks up.
I think it's a very well made film. It's nowhere near.
It's well made. It's not a terrible movie at all. It's just not one I tend to watch all the time.
It's kind of interesting how often Danny Boyle has come back to his first movie, just told in different different genres with like the money thing.
Yeah.
I think I like his British movie a little bit more, even though Slumdog Millionaire is probably a stronger made film. But I think I prefer Millions as far as like his coming of age movie.
Yeah.
But I understand why people really loved this movie when it came out. Like it's a feel good movie, and it is up until Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it's the highest grossing Best Picture winner.
Wow.
Because this was one of the last Best Picture winners that like made a lot of money at the box office, and especially after it won Best Picture. And because they didn't nominate The Dark Knight or Wally or even The Wrestler, what would have beat it? I mean, I like The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, but it's not David Fincher's best movie.
No.
That's very much David Fincher trying to make like what the Academy Awards would think is an Academy Award movie, right? In a lot of ways.
That's how I feel about Amsterdam from last year. It was trying to be one of those movies that would have been nominated for Oscars.
And Frost Nixon is solid. It's really well done. One of Ron Howard's better movies. But
100%.
And then a lot of people say Milk should have won, which Milk is a really well made movie. Sean Penn.
I've always wanted to see Milk.
But definitely The Reader should have been thrown right out. That's ridiculous with Harvey Weinstein and his BS getting that movie
I thought you loved Kate Winslet.
I love Kate Winslet as an actor, but that movie should not have been up for Best Picture. And that's not even her best performance.
Was that basically a career win? Because there's a joke in Extras that she's trying to win an Oscar, so she gets a role in these like tragic Holocaust movies just to get one because she's bored of polishing her husband at the time, Sam Mendes' Oscar.
Yeah, it was definitely a career Oscar because, you know, she is one of the most acclaimed actors of her generation and she hadn't gotten an Oscar yet. And yeah, you could have thrown The Dark Knight in here, but because The Dark Knight did not get nominated, that's why the Academy Awards decided to increase the amount of films they nominated. And they still, from time to time, still F it up. They still nominate movies that are just pedestrian and are more schmaltzy than interesting.
Yeah, I get you.
I mean, they did very well this past year with who won, but I mean, there's still examples. I mean, it's almost a war crime that the King's Speech won over the Social Network.
I kind of saw that coming, to be fair.
Did you? Because I thought it was going to go one way or the other, though. I thought one was going to win Best Picture and one was going to win Best Director. I didn't think Tom Hooper was going to.
Okay, I thought Fincher was like a bag.
Yeah. It's wild. Yeah, I don't know if it would have won Best Picture had it been nominated, but it is kind of crazy that it just wasn't in the conversation. Though, Dark Knight Bros, you guys need to calm down when other comic book movies have been nominated for Best Picture. We can't go back in time and nominate The Dark Knight. There have been lots of other great comic book superhero movies since The Dark Knight.
Yes, I know you prefer the Batman slightly.
I prefer the Batman slightly as a movie about Batman because I feel like Batman in this movie kind of gets, like I said, he kind of gets overshadowed by the Joker and Two-Face, Harvey Dent, and Gary Oldman because ultimately this movie's about Gotham City because it's a crime drama like Heat, like The Departed, like any great crime drama. It's about the city and the heart and the soul, and it's really the
Batman is basically Seven, but with Batman.
The Batman is basically Seven and Zodiac combined with Batman, but I love that he's actually a detective in the Batman. Yes. Like he's actually using his detective skills because Batman is a detective.
He's supposed to be... I started playing the Arkham Games, that's what I liked about the whole format, that he was just detective. And so in like the earlier Batman issues, he's called the world's greatest detective. And what bugs me about the Batman is that I was hoping the Riddler would call Batman a detective like he does in the games.
Yeah, I would like to see that. If they ever do Ra's al Ghul again, I hope he calls him detective because he did in the comics and the animated series, which you talk about the Arkham games, R.I.P. Kevin Conroy. That's my favorite Batman. That's my favorite Batman.
He's great.
When I envision what Batman sounds like, it's Kevin Conroy.
Do you like Mark Hamill as the Joker?
Mark Hamill's a great Joker. I think he's probably my second favorite Joker, right under Heath Ledger.
Well, Barry Keoghan might change that in the second Batman film.
He might. We will see what he does with his. There was a deleted scene. Did you see the deleted scene? I mean,
yes,
I'm glad they took it out of the movie because they didn't need it in the movie. It was already long enough, and we have the scene with Batman and the Riddler, which was great. So,
and plus Barry's had Eternals to shine in the year before, and that year he was better in the Banshees of Inisherin.
Absolutely.
Yes. So, I love this movie, The Dark Knight, and I think it. Do you think it's worth all those 12 Fleming Awards that I gave it?
So, Best Picture, Best Director, Best Supporting
Actor,
Best Cast, Sound and Visual Effects. What else?
Stunt team, production design, editing, score, cinematography, and best adapted screenplay.
I mean, those are all great awards, and I'm not shocked that they ran the table because this is one of those movies that was a cultural phenomenon, box office wise, critically. This was probably the biggest Batman has been since 1989.
Definitely.
And that's not
nowadays I prefer Batman Returns.
I absolutely prefer Batman Returns too because it's more of a Tim Burton movie to me than the first movie. Yes. Even though that movie has the same issue that this movie does, Batman gets overshadowed by the supporting cast.
Yes. So when me and Justin ranked the Christopher Nolan movies, he ranked this movie in 6th place, and his comment was, the only good parts in the film are where the Joker shows up.
I have to strongly disagree with Justin.
I
I
do
mean,
too.
I mean that's his opinion, and that's fine. But that is not the only good stuff. I mean, a lot of people think that about this movie that are not as hot on it as you and I, because if you just watch it at face value, yeah, of course, all the Joker stuff is what's most memorable and gets overshadowed. But like I said, Aaron Eckhart gives a very great tragic performance as Harvey Dent in
Yes.
Two-Face. Gary Oldman is incredible as Jim Gordon, as this guy trying to stop corruption and crime in his city, is maybe the only good cop in Gotham City.
Yeah.
I mean, those are two strong performances. And then you've got pros like Michael Caine and Morgan Freeman just coming in and just doing steady, reliable work as these supporting parts of Bruce Wayne and Batman's life. And Christopher Nolan, just the way he structures this movie, as like I said, this is a great crime drama that just happens to have superhero characters in it.
Yeah.
This is right up here with Heat. This is up there with Silence of the Lambs. This is it's a masterpiece of cinema. It's not my personal favorite Batman movie. It's not my personal favorite Christopher Nolan movie, but these are absolutely, like, he's at the top of his game here. He took what he did with Batman Begins. He got more creative control. And yeah, I would put this movie in the conversation with The Godfather as well. It's just a great movie about crime.
Yes. Yes. And the action and the hard work put into the production and writing is just perfection.
I mean, tell me that those scenes between Batman and the Joker, their scenes together, are just not amazing. Just the back and forth.
Well, it also sets up a really good introduction where the light turns off and then the light turns back on and Batman's right behind him.
Oh, I love that scene where, like, Gordon's talking to the Joker and he's like, well, it depends on because he may be in one or several places. And he's like, well, if we're going to play games, I'm going to need a cup of coffee. And he's like, good cop, bad cop, something like that. And then there's Batman, smashes his head on the table. And I mean, it's a great scene. And the Joker, even though they get to prove the Joker wrong, the Joker is not completely wrong in his estimation of Batman, right?
No, if you analyze the whole story arc of the Joker, not only is he right, but he actually has the whole thing planned out.
Yeah, and I mean, that starts the whole trope of the bad guy getting caught on purpose in movies, too. Like, they copied this also in The Dark Knight Rises, along with other movies like Star Trek Into Darkness, and I forget there's another blockbuster where Skyfall, there's all where the bad guy gets caught on purpose. But yeah, him saying, like, to them, you're just a freak like me, which Batman is. Batman is, he has his code of honor, right, of what is right and wrong.
No guns, no killing.
But he is equally mentally unstable as these villains are.
I mean, come on, seriously. In the real world, who dresses up in a costume and fights off random bad guys?
Well, have you seen The Flash yet?
Yes, I have.
Well, there's a joke which we have been saying a lot lately, and they have it in The Flash where Batman's like, actually, I could probably do more for the city as Bruce Wayne than I could as Batman.
Yeah.
Like, you're a billionaire, Bruce. You could use your resources and money to help the people of Gotham instead of dressing up as a bat and spending your time and money fighting low-level criminals.
Yeah, because he could build hospitals, build schools, build homeless shelters, build like restaurants and stuff.
Invest in schools and programs for low-income people so they don't have to go to a life of crime.
Start some community filmmaking projects.
Yeah, there's so much he could do. And I mean, I know Bruce Wayne does a lot of philanthropic work in the comics and shows, but like he could use his and maybe get some therapy for your trauma.
Yeah,
you know, instead of becoming a vigilante.
yeah. Well, you could say the same about Green Arrow as well,
Yeah, you could absolutely,
and Iron Man.
and Iron Man. Yeah, and I say this as someone who's Batman's my favorite superhero, but
Yes, same. We love Batman really. We just think he's a little bit fat because he likes to dress up and fight crime.
yeah, but I mean that's the whole statement is like, and then even when he tells the Joker, he does it. You're going to be in a padded cell. Well, maybe we'll share one. you know,
There is also a theory that Batman's in the Joker's head.
the Batman's in the Joker's head.
Yes,
Like
that the Joker is made of all the Batman stuff.
he's made the Batman up.
Yeah,
It's just as a challenge to himself.
yeah, yeah, and he's just sat in a mental cell thinking about all this. It's not just the Christopher Nolan; it's like the Joker in general.
Right. The Joker in general has made this guy up because he needs something.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's another great scene when like he does the deal with the mob guys and only the Russian guy shows up and he burns his half of the money because he doesn't care about the money.
I love that scene. It's not about money; it's about
Making
what
a
does he say?
statement.
It's about making a statement, and then he kills them, and then he feeds the bloke to the dogs.
And he's like, this city deserves a better class of criminal, and I'm going to give it to him.
Yeah. I wonder why Tom Wilkinson didn't come back for a cameo.
I guess Carmine Falcone's in prison. I don't know. It's interesting that we didn't get more cameos from returning characters.
Yeah. Yeah. The bloke who plays Coleman Reese, it was nice to see him in Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
I don't even remember him in that.
He played a policeman at the start of the movie.
Ah.
Because most of the film is set in their like recording booth.
Yeah, because I think it's based off a play, so and it's mostly in one setting. Another big Oscar scandal.
Yes, well, my favourite from that year wasn't even nominated.
Movie or performance?
Performance, Delroy Lindo in The Five Bloods.
That's true. Yeah, he wasn't even nominated. And he was incredible.
Yes. So I gave Best Actor to Colin Farrell in Bruges for 2008.
I mean, that's a great performance.
Would you even nominate Christian Bale for Best Actor?
I don't think so. Because I think he gives a better performance in Batman Begins.
Yeah.
Not that this performance is bad. It's just that
not at all.
It's just he's more comfortable and fitted into this duality of what Bruce Wayne and Batman is. And he's giving like 3 different performances in Batman Begins because he's playing like a younger Bruce Wayne trying to find himself, and then he plays the Bruce Wayne persona that he puts on, and then he's playing Batman.
Yeah.
And in this movie, he's just fitted comfortably with what his position is. And it's just the nature of the plot and the story of the movie is more about, the chaotic nature of the Joker. And then
he's either partying with women or he's fighting crime.
Yep. And yeah, you're dealing with the chaotic nature, the chaotic nature and destruction tornado that the Joker is, and Gordon and Dent trying to save their city, and then the rise and fall of Harvey Dent,
Oh, I
which
have
plays.
noticed this is the only time in these three movies where Bruce Wayne has a girlfriend.
Oh yeah, because it's the whole thing with Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
Yeah, because he's dating a blonde Russian model at the start of the movie. They take
Which
to
that
dinner with Harvey and
uh-huh. And that's a
Rachel.
great
Yeah.
that's a great alibi for why he has to go to Hong Kong. Well, Bruce Wayne just yachted the whole Russian ballet team on a boat.
Because sometimes I feel like when they give Batman a girlfriend, it feels too forced.
Yeah, I'm trying to think other than honestly, at least in the live action movies, I think the only time the chemistry has worked with him and a female lead is Catwoman.
Literally, because in Batman and Robin, that girl, I swear, is only in that film to have a beautiful woman next to George Clooney.
Right, Eel McPherson, who's a model or was a model.
Yeah.
And like I don't even really like the chemistry that much between Val Kilmer and Nicole Kidman, really that much in
No,
Batman
no,
Forever.
I love Nicole Kidman, but she wasn't needed for that film.
And that's one of the weaker points of the first Batman movie Tim Burton did was the chemistry between Keaton and Basinger as her
Yeah,
character.
they should have more been friends rather than love interests.
But I mean, the chemistry between Keaton and Pfeiffer is electric, and the only thing that comes close is Pattison and Zoe Kazan or Kravitz, Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah.
Yeah, Zoe Kravitz. So yeah, it's only worked so far in live action with Catwoman.
Maybe they should just make a Batman Catwoman love film one day.
Where they actually get to be sort of lovers.
Lovers who fight crime together.
Oh, we got a little bit of that in the Batman and the Dark Knight Rises, though.
Yeah.
I guess the chemistry between Bale and Anne Hathaway is not great. It's not bad.
But they are both good actors and they are good at acting.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't act badly in that movie.
No, I actually love Anne Hathaway as Catwoman. She's not my favorite Catwoman, but I think she did a great job.
She did.
She's one of the better parts of the movie, in my opinion.
Oh, definitely, definitely. I'm not big on The Dark Knight Rises.
I enjoy it very much. It's my least favorite of the three Nolan films. But
Same.
I don't.
I'm guessing your order's the same as mine.
Dark Knight, Batman Begins, Dark Knight Rises. Yeah.
Yeah.
I still like it though as a movie, and I love Tom Hardy as Bane. I'm sorry. I think whatever he's doing is great. I love the Bane voice.
Yeah, I like his voice as Bane.
And that opening scene with the airplane is just amazing, and so is the fight scene in the sewer.
Yes. Definitely.
I just don't like the whole them pretending she's not Talia when I knew the whole time she was Talia.
Yeah, I kind of got that too. That wasn't really a surprise.
Yeah, I'm like, why did they keep that secret? That was fine. It makes sense. I was like, oh, Marion Cotillard's in this movie. I bet she's playing Talia.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So. And they probably should have killed Batman off in that movie too.
Definitely. Definitely.
And yeah, let's talk about the Dark Knight, not the Dark Knight Rises, even though I'm one of the defenders of the Dark Knight Rises.
Yes. No, it's cool. If you want to see me talk about the whole trilogy, go on to Tony Lopez's channel where I spoke with him about the whole trilogy.
Cool.
But yes, I love The Dark Knight. I think it's my second favorite movie ever.
Dang, ever. I don't know if I can say that about any movie. It's so hard.
You don't have a second favorite movie?
It's so interchangeable. Almost any movie I love could almost be my second favorite movie.
I kind of get what you're saying there, actually.
Yeah, I don't know if I can clearly define these are my 5 favorite movies of all time.
Is that why your list changes on Letterboxd every month?
I just like to do that now that I know people do that. I'm like, yeah, let's new month, new 4 faves. I go with the theme.
I just stick with the 4 films that I love watching.
And right now, the 4 faves are childhood favorite films.
What are those?
They are Ghostbusters, Pee
Nice,
Wee's Big Adventure, Teenage
ooh,
Mutant Ninja Turtles, the original film from 1990, and Tim Burton's
nice,
Batman.
nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I think that's all there is to talk about with The Dark Knight. I mean, I would
Hmm.
give it a 10 out of 10, 5 out of 5, but there's no point rating it because we know how good it is.
Yeah. It's a 5 star, 10 out of 10, whatever, A plus. It's all those things. It's a masterpiece. I mean, they've made a lot of great Batman movies, and this is one of the best ones. I
Yes,
think it's great.
I'm one of the movies that kind of shaped the 2000s and the future of cinema.
Well, it did shape a lot of the future of cinema in so many ways. I mean, I'm glad that a lot of the superhero movies aren't trying to mimic this anymore because this aesthetic doesn't work for every superhero character.
The only time they've mimicked The Dark Knight and it worked is a 2014 film called Captain America: The Winter Soldier.
And that really wasn't mimicking the Dark Knight that much. It's more of them mimicking political thrillers,
Yeah, but
you
I
know.
kind of saw a massive Dark Knight influence in it.
Maybe a little, but it's very subtle influence just
Yeah,
on. But it didn't work for those Spider-Man movies with Andrew
no,
Garfield when they tried to make it more like the Nolan approach.
no,
And and whatever your thoughts are on the whole Snyderverse, it didn't quite work there either.
no. I think Man of Steel was trying to be too much like a Nolan film because they even asked Christopher Nolan to help write the story.
Which is interesting because that's 2 Batman directors that were involved somehow in a Superman movie. So does that mean one day Matt Reeves is going to have something to do with the Superman movie?
Yes, and I think Joel Schumacher would be up for it if he was still alive.
I don't think so. I don't think they let that man touch another comic book movie.
Nah, nah. They told him to stick with his dark, cool '80s movies instead.
I mean, Joel Schumacher is an underrated director. He's got a lot of good movies.
No, I
He
don't
just,
think I love Falling Down. I love The Lost Boys.
yeah, The Client is a solid 90s thriller. Time
I've
to
heard good
Kill.
things. I've always wanted to see
Uh,
Time to Kill.
Tigerland is pretty good. That's one of Colin Farrell's first movies.
We talked about him
Phone
earlier.
Booth is Phone Booth is a solid thriller. I mean, yeah, he's got a lot of pretty good movies under his belt.
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, well, sometimes these Batman directors, they kind of have films that are just as good when they're not doing Batman stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't say Batman Returns or Batman is Tim Burton's best movie, but at least then
No,
he was still making good movies
no,
instead of making things that appear like a Tim Burton movie.
no, I think his best movie is Ed Wood.
Yeah, that's my favorite as well.
I think Matt Reeves' best film is The Batman so far.
Yes, yes, even though I love his two Planet of the Apes movies as
Yeah,
well.
yeah, I do. I love them both. I prefer the third one.
Oh, it's so hard. Uh, I can see why the third one you prefer, but it's kind of hard between those two for me.
But I do
Which,
love that first movie.
yeah, even the first movie is incredible. I remember, like, I didn't go see that one in the theater because I was like, why are they doing another Planet of the Apes movie, you know? And then I watched it and I was like, holy shit, this movie's really good. I was
Yeah,
not
see,
expecting that.
I reckon that was influenced by Batman Begins.
Oh, I say that a lot too. Not because they have anything in common other than they're like kind of redoing a franchise, revamping a franchise. But yeah, Batman Begins. I wonder how much Batman Begins and Casino Royale influenced each other, even though they were probably filming Casino Royale when Batman Begins came out. But it's a lot of similarities there.
Yeah, there is a lot of similarities between Batman Begins and Casino Royale. I'd say, and I even see Dark Knight influences in Skyfall as well.
Oh yeah, which is interesting because Christopher Nolan loves James Bond, and there's a lot of James Bond influence in his Batman movies, and it's funny that his
Do you think
movies.
Sam Mendes likes likes Batman?
I don't know. I know he's a theater guy, so I don't know how much he would like Batman. I mean,
Yeah,
he did his own great comic book movie, though people probably don't know it's a comic book.
is that Road to Perdition?
Yes.
Yeah, I like that movie.
Yeah, it's incredible. The cinematography in that movie is gorgeous.
I think it's the last one shot by Conrad Hall.
I think you're right. And
Yeah.
it's one of the last performances from Paul Newman too. I know he did a few more, but
Yes. Before I let you go, I wanted to ask you a question about the cinematography of Nolan. Do you think Wally or Hoyt is a better cinematographer for Nolan?
I think I prefer Wally overall, though I like Hoyt. I think Hoyt Van Hoyt's a good cinematographer. I also really dig Ludwig as a composer.
Yes. Yes. His score was better in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, yeah. I think Oppenheimer is Nolan's best movie since Inception,
You're not wrong there.
in my opinion. But again, I need to rewatch Tenet and Interstellar. I've only seen both of those once.
Oh, I've seen Interstellar 2 or 3 times, but I've seen Tenet a lot, and it gets better on rewatch. And this is why The Dark Knight keeps getting better for me, because I've rewatched it so many times. None of it gets boring.
Yeah, I have seen this in Batman Begins a bunch of times. So
Yeah,
these ones I've watched quite a bit.
nice. And yeah, it's my best friend's favorite movie. So sometimes when he's round and we're bored, I just stick it on.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. It's a bit long, but yeah, it's one of those movies you can just have on in the background and be like, "Oh yeah, The Dark Knight, awesome."
Definitely, definitely. And that's it for today. Thank you for coming on, Cody.
Absolutely, it's a pleasure to come on and talk such a great movie.
Thank you, thank you. And we'll try and do another movie like this next month.
Okay, same thing, a movie that's won Best Picture.
Yeah, or best animated film, or even best international film.
Okay, yeah, any of that's fine.
Or why don't we pick one that's won a lot of Fleming Awards but's never won best film one day? Because that might be fun.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Right, where can we find you, Cody?
You can find me on you can find me on a few places. You can find me on Instagram at FilmNerd85 and Twitter or whatever it's called now. It's still up, so I'm still there. But we have a YouTube channel called Video Store Rejects, which you can check that out on our Facebook page as well. I also have a Facebook page that's linked to Video Store Rejects called The Director's Chair, And right now I'm having discussions about David Lynch and Twin Peaks. So be on the lookout for those episodes as we go through that show, and then of course the filmography of David Lynch.
Nice. Can I still join you for Mulholland Drive?
Sure, we can have a big discussion. Also, now that Asteroid City is streaming, we should get Justin together and talk about that one.
Oh, not a good idea. Me and Justin should do an episode for your channel.
Yeah.
And I think Asteroid City would be a good pick because we all like that one.
Well, that works.
Yes, and you can find me on Facebook. You can join the Fleming Film Awards group. We're currently doing the horror awards, but we're going to be doing the 50s one that once back up and running. I've got a new laptop now, so we can resume the 50s one once I decide how to go forward with it. And I'm also on YouTube where you're watching this, and you can check out my other YouTube videos. I've started doing TikTok videos on directors' filmographies, and I did my Nolan one recently.
Yeah, your Memento ranking was way too low.
I do apologize. It's just not one I would revisit like the others.
Ah.
Great movie though.
Yeah, I was just on Lisa's show about it.
Oh, nice. Nice. I need to get Lisa on here and go back on her show. But yeah, thank you so much for coming on and talking to me about this movie. I love talking about this movie.
Absolutely, it's one of my favorites.
I think we've said some different things about this movie compared to other people as well. So that's what I really have enjoyed talking about.
Because this is one of those ones that's been discussed a lot. So
Yeah. So it's nice to discuss different things about this movie too. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you very soon. Bye, Cody. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
It's all right. Bye-bye.